opportunity for coup against Putin. What do you think of this? Thank you. Thanks, Thanks, Em.
It's basically the question whether Putin will show up to the G20 or not.
That's just and this and the martial law declared today.
Well, the martial law declared today is. Well, I haven't looked at the specific declaration, so uh, Axel, are you on? Are you up to date on that?
I don't have the midget's travel schedule. If he arrives there,
No, just
I mean,
the martial law thing. Did you follow that?
yeah, I did. I read through it. It's inconclusive. I mean, and one thing is true, and Abdullah is right. It is quite a fetch, if not a stretch, for him to declare martial law and therefore try to press gang people now in the temporarily occupied territories. But then again, this is what the Russian Tsars have done for hundreds of years. It's nothing new as an attempt. But the interesting thing about this is, of course, that if he were to then press gang them and give these young men, and that's what he's recruiting, weapons, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Right. Okay. As for the G20 meetings, I think the Lavrov statement. I think Yehuda tweeted about this, saying that Russia is actually worried about Western countries cutting diplomatic ties with them, that they want to preempt and issue statements for domestic consumption, saying that there is no point in conducting diplomacy with the West anymore, and therefore they are considering cutting off diplomatic ties. So, Putin not going to the meeting because he's worried about a coup back home? I don't know about that. It's just it's a possible scenario, but I don't think it will happen. But I think the more prominent scenario is that he would be worried about his own safety and his own security, that he wouldn't go, or that Western countries will actually take action against him before the time comes for him to attend those meetings. So it's just everything is possible in this department right now.
Thank you so much, Thanks a lot.
Bayonare, please go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to add. I think martial law was already. Well,
We can't hear you, Bionade. Hallo.
hallo,
Hörst du
hallo,
mich?
jetzt?
Ja, besser.
Yeah. Ah, wunderbar. So, I think martial law was already declared in February in these areas, maybe not by Russia, and I'm not sure how if war was declared already, or not war, but martial law was declared in Luhansk and Donetsk. How I call it, imagine republics or dream republics. Yeah, so it's funny he declares martial law again in areas where already is the martial law. So
Yeah, Bernard, the martial law was declared by the Ukrainians, right?
yeah, on one side by the Ukrainians, but I'm pretty sure the dream republics of Donetsk and Luhansk also declared this already sometime earlier. It's funny this Russia declares it again, but yeah, it makes no difference at all.
No, it doesn't. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Thanks, Bernard.
yeah, up to that. Always nice.
All right, so one of our listeners, DM, saying that Putin announced martial law in Russia proper. So I will have to look through that. I returned from
He did.
work.
He did. He did.
Yeah, I
And
returned
he
from work
included
late
the
today.
occupied territories because he defined the temporarily occupied territories, which he supposedly forced the Russian Federation to annex. He included them in that martial law order, which is, of
Yeah,
course, nuts.
yeah, of course, absolute nonsense. I've returned from work late today, so I haven't looked into it. But I promise you, I'll probably come back tomorrow with a better understanding and a better explanation for it.
Thank you. If I may ask, so say okay, so now let's say Russia declared martial law.
Where are you from, Abdullah, by the way?
Huh? I live in Dubai. I live in Dubai. But I used to live
Are
in
you
this.
Emirati or are you another Arab
No,
country?
no, 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 no. I'm not Emirati. My father is from Oman, and my mother is from Kenya. Yes,
Oh, okay, Oman. Fantastic
yes, yes,
people. Please go ahead.
yes. So listen. So let's say that they declared martial law. Uh, Rather than just because of it, they will be able to mobilize and everything. But what happens to private property? Can the government take private property, to mobilize the whole country for the war effort? Is that something that Russia does? I don't know about their history in terms of martial law. Thanks.
I don't know about nationalizing private property, but I do know that they are giving everyone being moved to the front, or their family per se, a box of fresh vegetables. So cabbage, potatoes, carrots, you name it. Anyone who gets mobilized to the front line is what's the word? Good enough for their family to receive a one-time off payment in the form of a box with fresh cabbages, carrots, and potatoes. So it used to be a ladder when you lose a son. Now they're just giving them cabbages and potatoes and carrots. So maybe they will reach a point where they have to nationalize private property to continue paying for the ladders or giving them potatoes. Fuck do I know? Honestly, Abdullah, they don't
Yeah,
need they don't
I
need to
asked.
go through that. But they
Yes,
will.
yes.
What we know better than claiming private property is that Russian police has been wandering the streets and going to workplaces and basically seizing males in the military age, taking them back to report to recruitment centers. So they are actually arresting human beings and sending them to recruitment centers, or seizing human beings, not seizing private property. But I mean, if you seize private property, how can you use it? Like an apartment. Okay, let's say that you are going to seize an apartment in Moscow. First, you need to sell it, and then you need to turn that into a cash sum or credit, and then you need to funnel that cash sum or credit towards quote unquote the war effort. I mean, what can they do with private property? Absolutely nothing.
There are a lot of Western companies that still haven't sold off their property, their assets. So I'm just wondering if this is another opportunity for the Kremlin just to steal, Western, private companies' assets by declaring martial law. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see
but
what happens.
well, with three examples, they grounded some of the planes, commercial flights, commercial planes. The only way they can use the commercial planes is they cannibalize them and take spare parts, for instance. That's an example. I'm not really, and I'm speaking off of the top of my head here. I don't know how many planes they seized, for instance, and what types, and the amount of spare parts that cannibalizing those planes could produce. But that's the scenario, right? If they seize an NH&M or an Adidas or an IKEA store, what's in there? Running shoes. Will they get well? Okay, maybe they can give the shoes to their troops, to fight in, instead of the boots or the helmets that they are basically taking out of their 1960s and 1970s stores. Okay, go to war in a sneaker instead of going to war in a combat boot. Good luck with that. Uh, IKEA, a restaurant. What do they have in there? Electrical grills. What will they do with them? Melt them and turn them into ball bearings? They can't even make the ball bearings that they need to make their trains continue running. So, I mean, it is a concern for financial interests that are still invested in Russia and hasn't exited the markets, or have too many assets there that they cannot liquidate and sell and reclaim or recoup some of their primary investment. But will it help with the war effort? No. Will it be a form of retaliation that they can pursue? Maybe. We'll see.
Thanks. Thank you so much, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Abdullah, and everyone from Oman and Dubai are more than welcome. Wendy, please go ahead.
Thanks, Em. Good evening, everyone. I was just catching up on the news today, and I've just seen an article noting the retreat of Muscovite forces from it's on the BBC at the moment, from the Kherson region, and it's stating that civilians are being moved out, like there's some kind of orderly and managed process going on. When what we really know is happening is that this is likely being used to accelerate the theft of people, the theft of possessions, before the invading Muscovite forces get killed there. So it just got me thinking, because there was a speaker on earlier who wanted peace, because we've been through COVID. This particular, we've seen quite a lot of times during this war in the last 8 months and the last 8 years, we've seen a stream of Kremlin narrative talking points along the lines of the West should press the reset button with Moscow, or the West should embrace Moscow. I think we've really reached a point where most people know and can see what's going on based on the evidence in front of them, but for reasons which are known only to mainstream media outlets within the free world, the actions of this occupying force in Kherson and across the occupied regions of Ukraine is absolute murderous destruction wherever they go. So yeah, I'm getting a little bit tired of reading articles which and knowing that people, in workplaces across my country and across any other country which has access to this kind of this genre of news, that that they're talking about things which are they're really just being sourced extremely inaccurately, and sourced very lazily. So yeah, it's good to bring it up on a space like this, where people are acting in solidarity towards getting the truth out of situations in Ukraine. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Ben, welcome aboard. And let's go to NAFO Troll. Please go ahead. NAFO Troll, please go ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. I have some conspiracy theories. Yeah, I know you don't believe me. I'm just a simple
Why would
small
you say
man.
that to start with?
Yeah, I'm like a flat-eared like man. So.
What is the circumference of your flat Earth? I mean, just to get it started right there.
It was your joking about me last time, Mister.
Yes, senor.
What I want to say, whatever I say, it's unconfirmed, and it's like from all of my knowledge is from military, former persons, right? And what I want to say, first thing is Russians has sent some assassins to Germany to take care of some German politicians.
Sorry, NAFO, are you saying that
No.
You have a conspiracy theory to share with us, and that conspiracy theory is
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
that the government of Russia has
I
sent
just want,
assassins to Germany.
I just want to say that it's like it's knowledge from real people from army, like from yeah, from army. So I'm so apologize for my English, and I'm a little bit tired after work. That's one thing. Another thing is Russian has like a very good like ICBMs.
Which army? Which army, NATO?
It's from NATO headquarters. But
Right. So you have a source with NATO headquarters who told you that the Russians are sending
no,
assassins to assassinate German politicians in Germany,
yeah,
and you're coming on
we
this
can
place
say
to tell us
so.
about it.
You can say so. It take me as a rumors, right? What I know.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just
Continue, continue. This is very interesting.
just like a rumors, like about Russian ICBMs. They have it in very good conditions. They get some equipment from Sweden to raise it up. That's one thing. About their tactical nuclear weapons, it's trash. Third thing, they have some like videos and emails and stuffs like that from European politicians, like from Poland and Hungary, like with hookers and stuffs like that. It's proven. I get one email with that shit, and it looks.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Any other secret weapons they have that you're aware of and you would like to share with us?
No, it's
no EMPs, no kill switches for the internet, nothing that can collapse the international transaction financial system, nothing that can kill all the chicks and all the birds and all the poultry farms all over the world and leave
no,
everyone starving.
I'm not like that. It's like don't me like a furious motherfucker or something like that. I'm just saying what
Sorry.
I.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the entertainment for tonight. Bye, Nadia, please go ahead.
Damn, I wanted to ask for names. I mean, I would really be interested which German politicians will be targeted.
I'm more interested in being introduced to his dealer. Whatever he's smoking is really good, but it needs an IQ of more than 160 to tolerate.
Yeah, absolutely. But I remember I saw him here sometimes before, and I mean his talking points were not batshit crazy like this time. I mean, good
Well,
stuff
you
maybe.
never know. You never know what happens to people, you know.
you never know what happens what to your dealer.
All right. So yes, Russian assassins are going to Germany to kill German people, and we have videos with hookers and whatnot. I don't know why
Yeah.
people keep talking about hookers and strippers and whatever. There's a war
Yeah,
going
no,
on,
it's
and we're
really,
talking
it's
about
really,
tactics and
yeah, it's really not
stuff like
interesting.
that.
It's that interesting. But I mean, there were killers in Germany, in Berlin, killing some I think yeah, Russian dissident or something like this. But I mean, I think he tried to flee on a bike or something like it was really what really if I would say if nobody had died, it would be a funny story, but in this case it wasn't. But it was really the Russian type of spy
Yeah,
you
well,
can
no
imagine,
one is
drunk and
denying
everything.
no one is denying the ability of Russian services to carry out assassination operations in the near abroad and the far abroad. That's number one. Number two, if you have information on that, go to the relative authorities. Don't come to a Twitter space and then say the ICBMs are really good, but the tactical nukes are shit. So when you say something like that, basically you're saying there will be no nuclear detonation in Ukraine, but the ICBMs will fly. So it's just fear mongering. And then, you get the whole women aspect of it. Sex workers, hookers is a bad term, sex workers and whatnot. And videos. Wow. It's just insane. Ben, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a bit in a bad place these days. So I was considering the precedent for Europe of having Iranian missiles falling on European soil and how that was extremely concerning. I mean, I live in a street that was once targeted by Iranian terrorism. I remember when I was a kid. 5-10 years prior, when the Iranians were saying that they were going to develop missiles that were able to hit Paris and London. That I remember. And now I'm seeing Iranian missiles that are falling on a European city at the heart of Europe. This is something that our politicians should take extremely, extremely seriously. As far as I'm concerned, I think that they can loaf around on a lot of subjects, but this is escalation, if I've ever seen it, should be taken and understood as such. And action, very, very strong action should be taken. I'm not a specialist of the Middle East, so I have no idea how to do it. If we have suggestion, I'd love to hear them, to be able to pass them on to my elected officials. But in the meantime, I wanted to share this view. I'm fully aware that it's exceedingly self-centered to say, oh, maybe some missiles will fall in Paris or London or Berlin, considering that there are no falling on Kiev. That being said, sometimes you need to underline self-interest, extremely selfish, extremely self-centered interest to get people to move. And the precedent of those missiles falling on Paris, falling on Kiev, is extremely concerning, and their names is not by chance. We've been submitted to Islamic terrorism very, very recently, and we should be taking this extremely, extremely seriously, and outraged that neither Paris, nor London, nor Berlin, nor Brussels are acting as they should, and like statesmen and like able minded politicians, and the massive action should be taken for this escalation not to stand and to be rolled back. And you know what? Since it helps the Ukrainians, that's all the best. But Europe should wake up and kill it nip it in the bud when they still have a chance.
Yeah, I personally blame France for whatever's happening in Iran today, and therefore what's happening in Ukraine. But that's a joke. We've been just joined by NAFO Troll for an encore. NAFO Troll, please go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I know I'm a little bit stupid.
No, it's not.
I don't know how
you
to
said Mike
to
Foxtrot, and then your mic stopped working. So I think it was just something related to swearing. But carry on.
Yeah, what I want to say, I have like many friends all around Europe. Like I work close with people, and some of them are very important people and very rich powerful and something like that. What I want to say, in Europe, I saw quite many waste collection places as workers with Russian speak, and in many places I have friends who works in those places, these places, and what I
As
saw,
bouncers?
no, some of the Russian-speaking people has collecting like hard drives from the garbage laptops and computers in this spots,
Do you have
right?
any idea? Do you have any idea about the handling of classified information steps and precautions and measures that Western governments follow?
No, I don't.
But carry on. This is a very interesting story. So you know a lot of people who collect hard drives from trash bins.
No.
Yes or
No. I don't know them because I don't speak Russian, and if I see something who speak Russian, then I'm smiling and trying to be like friendly, right? So I don't have any contact with them,
All right.
right?
So stories aside, can you please be very concise and try to condense the point that you're trying to relay to us?
Yeah, if you know some European politicians, ask them who work for them, like sometimes maybe black work, like in private properties, cleaners, plumbers, electricians, whole service
Are you
for
from Sweden,
the.
Nafo?
No, I'm not from Sweden.
Where are you
I'm
from then?
I'm traveler. I'm
Traveler from
traveling.
another galaxy or from this galaxy?
No, from Europe, but I'm traveling around the world.
So where are you right now in the world? What time is it where you are? What temperature is it?
It's like a +1 from Kiev, right? Temperature, I don't know. It's like a
So
5
it's
or
midnight
4
now?
degrees. What?
Midnight now where you are?
Yes.
And temperature is what?
Like a 4 degrees.
Celsius?
Yes.
That sounds very interesting. Do you have any other points that you would like to add, Nafo,
No.
before we go to the other hand?
I just want to say, it's very interesting in Europe. Like prime ministers has black workers in private properties, right?
So you're not in
Then
Vienna?
in Vienna, it's another story. It's like we can talk about
You know we can trace
Vienna.
IPs, Nafo. Do you do that or not?
So that's another story, but like private security around like a air base or something like around military base, private cleaners in military base in Europe. It's unbelievable. I can't believe in that.
All right.
And
Thank you so much for your advice and your warnings. We truly appreciate it. We have just been joined by Colonel Spencer again. And, sir, you were cut off. I'm supposing you received a phone call.
I did.
So
It was a very fascinating phone call, but my deep apologies for joining and then jumping off. It was actually from where I used to work, the Pentagon, with some very interesting questions about my book, Connected Soldiers, and really soldiers' mental health, which I know is our concern, of course, in Ukraine with veterans of standing up their veteran affairs and the mental struggles. Something I'm pretty passionate about it. But even I think I saw a tweet today talking about the Ukrainians are starting to get their rotations down, right? Soldiers can't stay on the front line for months and months at the time. It does take a toll, and how great that is. And that's what I saw when I was in Lviv, right? Soldiers coming back, getting refreshed, mental break, and then going back out. and what the Russians don't have is that ability. So sorry for popping on and off, but I'm back now.
No worries, sir. It's fine. Just had an entertaining segment here, but it went quite well. So, yes, make sure to check out Colonel Spencer's new book, Connected Soldiers. It's an amazing read. I ordered my copy. Hasn't arrived yet, but waiting on it. We were discussing, sir, earlier how we can tackle Iran supplying weapons to Russia, and you were talking about sanctions, and then you were cut off. So if you want to add anything to that before we move to the hands, I think we might have a couple of questions for you, sir.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot going on with those. I was just agreeing with you that sanctions, there has to be, of the forms of military power, right? Diplomatic, there has to be messaging to Iran, not that they care, but from the world that you are providing weapons to sanctioned Russian people committing genocide in Ukraine. Your weapons are in Ukraine. There has to be a diplomatic and information campaign. And of course, there's lots of backdoor stuff happening on how to take them down. They're not that effective. They have a very high interception rate, but they are cheap. So that allows them to not swarm. I think I've seen on the news that's just about a far, as a very loose term of swarm, which has its own definition. They're just sending a lot at once. So it's just harder to bring them all down. That's not a swarm. I posted, and I'm going to add to the mini manual, which I'm considering adding a version 5, even old school things that I did, or what we used to teach for helicopters and other low flying, slow moving aerial platforms, is that a whole variety of direct fire can bring things down if you just follow a couple simple rules. So I'm sure that we're seeing this. There's lots of people working on the problem. I was mentioning right before I popped off, though, that it has to be a combination of both offense and defense, just from the tactics portion of it, right? You can't defend everywhere, but you can defend, just like M, and I know you know a lot, or like a vehicle-borne IED. My experience is that you can't stop every vehicle-borne IED, but you can reduce greatly the potential for those weapons to create mass casualty events, right? Through active protection and defending of sites, fortifying, just making it harder to get to them. And you could think about putting, for aerial platforms, putting up a lot of things, either GPS denying radars and all this, both on how to attack it, but also how to defend. So you don't have to defend everything, but you start with the critical infrastructure, you start with the cities, and you start to build this architecture where those things will not have any ability. I mean, although you're knocking like 80% out of the sky, we want it to be 100%. But even so, I do have to make a comment, because I talked about shooting at a drone, which works for some drones, and then other people are, because Twitter does this, like, what about the falling bullets that you just shot in the sky in an urban space? I'm like, well, if you don't want a falling bullet, but you want a 200-pound bomb hitting something, then these are the risks that, unfortunately, people have to make in war.
All right, thank you, sir. George, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, Colonel Spencer, nice to hear from you on here. I was going to say, you just mentioned the bullets falling down, and you got to pick your poison, right? These things are slow moving, right? 115, 120 miles an hour. Your regional airport Piper Cub type speeds. The thing is, if we know where they're approaching from, let's say Kyiv, they're either coming from the north or they're coming from the south, or maybe from the east. Wouldn't it be sensible to put any type of shoot down capability outside the city, let's say in a ring toward those approaches, because especially these Shahed 136s, they just go to a pre-programmed target. They're not doing any evasive maneuvers. It's like just a straight line flight, several